to Tales from the World's Firesides. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy, your usual guide. Today we are going to Ireland for a story called Fior Usga. It's a lovely little tale, so why don't we just get on with it. Fior Usga. A little way beyond the gallows green of Cork, just outside the town, there's a great loch of water. In winter, people go there to skate for the sheer pleasure of it. But what's happening on the surface is nothing compared to what lies beneath, because at the very bottom, under all that dark water, there are buildings and gardens finer than anything you'll find above, and this is how they came to be there. Long before any Saxon foot pressed Irish ground, there was a king called Cor. His palace didn't stand by the loch, it stood where the loch now stands, down in a round green valley about a mile across, and in the middle of the palace courtyard there was a spring. Not just any spring, but water so pure, so clear, it was talked about far and wide. People came in crowds from near and from miles away to draw from it, and at first the king was proud because who wouldn't be? But then pride soured into fear. He began to worry the spring would run dry, drained by all those hands and all those buckets. So he built a high wall around it. He locked it up, and he wouldn't allow anyone to take the water at all. That might have pleased the king, but it was misery to the poor people living around the palace who had relied on that spring, and when King Cor wanted water for himself, he didn't even trust his servants with the key. He would send his own daughter. Her name was Fior Usga, which means spring water. Now, one night, the king held a grand entertainment, the sort of gathering people talked about for years after. Princes came, and lords and nobles without end, and the palace was bright with it all. Bonfires blazed so high they seemed to lick at the sky. Music played that made the feet restless and the heart light. There was dancing and feasting, and the gates stood open. No one was turned away. If you arrived, you were greeted with one thing only. You're welcome, heartily. Among the guests was a young prince who drew every eye, tall and straight and handsome enough to make people fall quiet for a second. And all night long he danced with Fior Usga, wheeling here, wheeling there, light as a feather, as if the music had been written for the two of them alone. The musicians played better just for watching. Everyone watched, and everyone smiled, because it felt like a lucky night. After the dancing came supper. The prince sat beside Fior Usga at the table, close enough to catch every glance, every small smile, and the hall buzzed with compliments to her beauty, to his grace, and to the way they moved together. Then, in the middle of the banquet, one of the great lords spoke up and said, "May it please your majesty, here is everything a heart could wish for, both to eat and drink, except water." The king seized on the word like a man who has been waiting for it. "Water," he said, pleased as anything. "Why, water you shall have, my lord, and such water that I challenge all the world to equal it. Daughter, go and fetch it in the golden vessel I had made for the purpose." Now, Fior Usga did not like that, not because she disobeyed her father, she didn't dare to, but because it was a small, menial task to be ordered into in front of a hall full of nobles. She hesitated. She looked down at the ground. The king saw it, and for a moment he regretted what he'd said. He loved her dearly, but King Cor was not known to take back his word once it had left his mouth. So he found another way. He raised his voice and said, "Daughter, I do not wonder that you fear to go alone so late at night, but I doubt not the young prince at your side will go with you." The prince was more than willing. He took the golden vessel in one hand, and with the other he led Fior Usga from the hall so gracefully that everybody watched them go as if it were part of the evening's entertainment. Out they went, into the courtyard, to the spring behind its locked door. Fior Usga unlocked it with care, because she knew what her father's fear had made of that water. She knelt. She leaned down with the vessel to draw from the well, but the golden vessel was heavy, heavier than she expected, and as she leaned, she shifted just slightly, just enough. She lost her balance, and she fell in. Prince lunged after her, but the moment she slipped below, the water did something no one could have imagined. It rose. It surged as if it had been waiting, as if it had been holding its breath for years. It poured out of the well faster and faster, and the prince, half wild with shock, could only run back towards the hall. Behind him, the well door had been left open, and the water, long confined, rejoiced in its freedom. It rushed out. It rose. It spread across the courtyard, then into the palace, and it reached the banqueting hall sooner than the prince did. He burst in, trying to speak to King Kor, but the water was already up to his neck. In moments, the flood climbed higher still, filling the whole green valley where the palace stood, until the valley became a loch and the palace vanished beneath it. And that is how the Loch of Cork was formed. And yet here's the strange part. The king and his guests were not drowned, not as people would be now if such a thing happened. Nor was Fior Usga lost, because the tale says she returned to the banquet hall the very next night. And every night since, that same entertainment goes on beneath the water. The same dancing, the same music, the same bright hall in the darkness below. And it will go on night after night until someone has the luck to bring up that golden vessel, the very thing that started all the trouble. Some will tell you, of course, that it was judgment on King Kor for walling up the spring and keeping it from the poor. And if you doubt the story, the old teller gives you this much at least, a simple challenge. Go and see the loch yourself. The road to Kinsale passes beside it, and when the waters are low and clear, if your eyesight is good, you may still glimpse something down there. The tops of towers and stately buildings, waiting at the bottom, as if the world beneath is still awake. And that's the tale of Fior Usga. I think the meaning is something like true water. It's a lovely tale originally collected by Thomas Crofton Croker in the 19th century, and his tale is the one that this is adapted from. As I mentioned earlier, I think we collect these stories and retell them so that they are not lost, not forgotten. There are many different collections that I've put together over the years, and you can find them all on places like Amazon in book form and digital form. And there is a link at the bottom of the screen that you can follow if you want to find out more. If you want to find out more about me and Tales from the World's Firesides, then please visit clivegilson.com. More than happy to pick up a chat if anybody's got anything they want to ask. For now, though, that's it. So please do sort of follow and subscribe if you like the tales. Otherwise, I'll leave you in peace until next time. There'll be a new story next week, and I look forward to telling you that. In the meantime, take care.